Alright folks, huge movie fanatic Nate reporting on Friday, June 13th, 2014. That's when this video is being shot, but it's going to be uploaded later. And if it's uploaded later, that means I made it through Friday, June 13th, 2014. Now, of course, if you're a fan of the original Friday 13th, you know that that movie takes place on June 13th. Friday, June 13th. So that's kind of cool. So when this happens, it's just like, it's not a big deal, but it's just like, oh boy, it's Friday, June. Not only is Friday 13th cool, but if it happens to fall in June, then everything's roses. I'm here to review. I'm here sitting in a kayak. You can't see the kayak, but take my word for it. I'm here to review Swamp Thing, the 1981, I believe, Wes Craven film, which was meant to be, I think, more grander than it ended up being. I think I always thought it was like a horror movie when I was a kid, so I was afraid to see it before I got into horror movies. But I should have known because it was like they think it's PG. So, but I always thought it was a horror movie. I didn't know what it was. So, I mean, the box cover looked kind of creepy. Like, oh my gosh, it's this Swamp Thing. Oh, I don't want to see that. It's scary. So, I didn't actually see this movie until not that I was afraid all the way until 91, but I don't think I saw it until 91. If you know anything about me, you know that I love, movies that take place in lakes and bogs and swamps, and just because I love water areas and stuff like that. And if I may, I don't know exactly what you can see, but I'm in a beautiful area, and I want to be able to show you how beautiful this area is. And I thought, well, this is a perfect area to review Swamp Thing. So, this movie gets a lot of flack and crap, and partly rightfully so, but I guess I just let it slide because it's just so beautiful, like the scenery and everything like that. And obviously just Adrienne Barbeau is just like, that doesn't hurt things either. Let me just correct. So, Swamp Thing. I don't know anything about the character or anything like that. In 91, I kind of half-assed thought I was trying to kind of get into comics, but I don't like reading. I liked the drawings. I don't really like reading, so I didn't really, the whole thing of trying to get into comics didn't really work. I got some and looked at some of the pictures. Actually, that's not true. Back in 1990, when I was all Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crazy, I got some of the original Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird books and stuff, and I read those all the way through. Those are the graphic novels or whatever you want to call them. So I actually did do it for a while, but it's just, when something's really not your calling, like reading, why fight it? So again, I branched off. So back to Swamp Thing. Scream Factory put out a Blu-ray of Swamp Thing, which I never intended to get, but I found it at half-price books for more than I probably should have paid, but it was cheaper than it would have been new, So, actually, it might have only been like $12.99. I'm like, Swamp Thing, $12.99. Let's do it. And I guess this will be at the end. It'll be also a Blu-ray review. So I'll wait until the end to do that. But again, this is like the year Friday 13th Part 2, and Harry Manfredini comes on board. I don't know if this is the only time he ever worked with Wes Craven or not, but he comes on board to do, a year after his amazing, classic, beautiful, fantastic Friday 13th score, in the same year as his Friday 13th Part 2 score, he comes on board Wes Craven's Swamp Thing to do a score for this, which you can't help but hear just Friday 13th cues and Friday 13th stuff in it. But I think I like what he does. I think Harry Manfredini to me is basically Friday 13th. To me that's all he is, and not all he is, but I think the best stuff he's done personally, and his greatest contribution to the world as obviously as Friday the 13th scores, in my opinion. So to me, when I hear something else he's done, it's kind of like, ha ha ha. Not to say it's bad, but you know, the little goofy like themes or whatever he came up with for Swamp Thing are kind of cool. And you know, this movie tries to have like a comic book, which you got to give it props, a comic book feel by doing some of those goofy comic book wipes or whatever and stuff like that. And it basically is one of those movies, you know, you can either do a comic book hero movie like Batman, where the character, the superhero is already the superhero, or you can do it like Rocketeer and so many others, Iron Man, where you follow the superhero's transformation into the superhero. So Swamp Thing, the movie, 1981 movie, decides to do that. And which is cool. It works as a cool little scenario, and you get introduced to this guy who plays, Christ, I can't even remember his name. The guy who plays the bad guy. I should know his name because I was a Swamp Thing fan in 91. But, damn it, he's got a kind of a, Arcane. Something Arcane. And this poor guy, which I found out on the commentary or the making of or something like that, his son had just died. Like, before or while, like very shortly before they were filming his stuff. And god damn, that really sucks. So here this guy's, you know, in this movie, making this movie, and his son has recently, you know, died. And it's just like, wow, you know, the things you find out, it's just like, you know, now every time you watch the movie, you're going to just see this poor guy who's just like, beneath those eyes and beneath, you know, everything in his face is just like, you know, mourning and ready to break down at any time on screen. And it's just, you know, it's just sad to know that, you know. The DVD, the Blu-ray, if I may quickly just mention, it has a really cool interview with this guy who played, I can't even remember his goddamn name. You know, the black kid who was pretty great in the movie. And this guy in this interview comes across as just an amazingly great guy and super smart and someone that, you know, anyone would like to know if they could. I can't remember what the hell his name is in the movie, but, you know, the black kid. Everyone liked him in the movie, and rightfully so. The kid's great. So we briefly introduced the character of, I don't even know what the hell the guy's name is before he's Swamp Thing, you know, the character, whatever his name is. The guy who'll end up, of course, I knew in 91 as being one of the bad guys from RoboCop, which it was, you know, he played such an asshole, good bad guy, that it was hard for me to see him as a good guy, but it took a while, you know, to see him as a good guy because he's such a bad guy in RoboCop, much like, you know, what's his name? Kurtwood Smith. All those people play such good bad guys, you know. So, you know, it's just like whatever, and you get a little introduction into the character, and Adrienne Barbeau comes into, I don't even know why she's coming into the situation, but she comes into it, and she's here to whatever, fix things or overlook things, and the people that she's replacing just, I don't know, they really don't like the environment of the swamp and all this and that, and this guy who ends up being Swamp Thing is enamored, as I would be, with the area and sees the beauty. And Adrienne Barbeau is just like, oh, where's the pavement? Where's my roads? Where's whatever? And the guys, you know, schools her a little bit. And, you know, this is, I don't know verbatim, but look at the swamps hold beautiful things and all this and that, and mosquitoes, which aren't so beautiful. But really, like I say, I can't stress enough the you know, how beautiful the movie, you know, locations are in the movie. And it features, before I forget, the late great, well, I'm probably going to not be able to remember his name. You know, the guy Krug from Last House on the Left is in it as a bad guy, as a henchman, and also the guy who will go on to be in Darkman, who I don't know his name as well. Of course, that was you know, when I first saw this movie, it was a year after Darkman. It was the year that it was on video, so I was like, oh, cool, that guy. You know, that guy's in it. So you know, whatever. I like it for, like, see, I like hokey ass, like Godzilla movies and people in costumes. So I mean, I kind of like the hokey ass outcome where Arcane turns himself into this. I mean, let's face it. Yes, it's hokey ass, but whatever. I mean, shoot. You know, apparently, you know, I think Wes Craven or something like that apparently wrote more grandiose stuff or something like that, and just like it happens so many times, the budget was just, you know, kept getting smaller and smaller or whatever, so it was just like, you know, you're just relegated to two people in these costumes just fighting in the swamp and hitting each other with a, you know, whatever, big branch and stuff. So, stars. What's stars for Swamp Thing? I'm gonna go 2 3/4 stars, 2 3/4 stars for Swamp Thing. I guess the best thing about it is Adrienne Barbeau. It's just, you know, in her tops, you know, and there was an accidental DVD release of the European version where you can actually see, because I remember '91 when I had that VHS of the theatrical, you know, the American version, and she's, you know, you just want to like, oh, I just want to see it, you know, I just want to see them, you know, and it's just like when she's like bathing in the swamp or whatever, it's just like, you know, being 14, it's just like, come on. And then I was really shocked when I got, I think I got it from, like, it was really cheap from from like Blockbuster or something like that, previously viewed, because I got it because it was like the original DVD that came out wasn't enhanced for widescreen TVs, so that they put out another edition that is actually enhanced, I think, for widescreen TVs. I don't know, but this version, they actually accidentally put out the European version under being rated PG, which features not only Adrienne Barbeau's tits, but some other tits at that like not a dance, the dinner at Arcane's place where the guy from Darkman gets turned into the little person. So, you know, if you can, I definitely recommend the European version, of course, which unfortunately the Shout Factory is not, which would have been cool, Scream Factory, you know, to be able to, you know, see the tits, you know. But when I saw that, I was just like, you know, originally I was like, what? That's cool. that they shot that they shot a version where you could see it. It's like they get all the fun in Europe. They have all the fun, you know. In the frickin' States, we can't see Adrienne Barbeau's assets, and I think that's the first and only time I've ever seen them. I don't know if she's shown them before. This review is just becoming about Adrienne Barbeau's tits, but it's something worth mentioning. So what I say, tits and 2 3/4 stars for Swamp Thing, 1981. Must be a nest right around here, that bird. That bird doesn't want me around. And like I say, the late great guy who played Krug from Last House on the Left is also featured in it. And it's just got some, it's mostly like, I don't know, it's perfect for like kids, I would say, like teenagers and stuff. Like, as an adult, having watched it, okay, criminy, piercing my eardrums. As an adult watching it, okay, holy Toledo, I'm backing up. As an adult watching it, it's just like, whatever, you know. Onto the Blu-ray review. Now, like I say, I think I got the Blu-ray for $12.99 at Half Price Books, previously viewed. I mean, used. And, you know, it's cool for the most part. I was disappointed to you know, that just like Final Exam, there's actually, I think there's a fair amount of hiss. The sound isn't particularly great, which was kind of a bummer, you know, but whatever. I don't regret getting it. I mean, it was cool just to see the interview. I think Adrienne Barbeau does an interview, and also the guy who played, you know, it kicks my ass that I can't remember his name. The guy who played the black kid, who's just comes across as just an amazing, great guy, and I want to be friends, but that probably is not going to happen. So I think the pictures, I don't think it's anything to like write home about or just go crazy about the image of the Blu-ray, but I mean, you know, if you have like any DVD, like if you have I'd say if you have the anamorphic, you know, if you're lucky enough to have the anamorphic European version, I'd say you stick with that, because you have more movie even than you do on the. I don't know why. Scream couldn't have got a hold of the European version and just that would have been fun. But they lose some points for that, for only doing the U.S. version and stuff. But I guess this is the U.S. after all, so whatever. But it's no fun to be teased with Adrian's assets and or tit sets and not be able to see it. But I guess that'll pretty much do it for my Swamp Thing review. It's got some cool, like, chasing Swamp Thing in the swamps and firing the guns at him and whatever. Like I say, every time I think of the guy who played Arcane, who was actually in a Bond movie. I can't remember if this is before or after he was in. I don't know what Bond movie he was in, but this might have been after he was in a Bond movie. So, like I say, I just can't help but feel sad for the guy at the time doing the movie, and I'm drifting towards that bird. His son just having recently died really sucks. Life can really, on a serious note, can really be cruel, I'll tell you that right now. So thank you very much for watching my Swamp Thing review / very brief Blu-ray review, and we'll see you at the swamps.